Hello, Internet. I'm Matt Haas. This is Awesome Fun Things, and today I'm going to show you why this watch, this specific watch, best describes my favorite phrase in the English language, paradigm shift. Stick around and you'll figure out what happened in the 60s and 70s with the Swiss watchmakers and the Japanese watchmakers. It's awesome. But first, the watch itself, it's a Seiko 5. It's the SNK 807. There are other color combinations. The hour markers are on the inside ring, minutes on the outside, day, date, it glows in the dark. The second hand sweep is 6 times a second. It's very fluid. Bead blasted outside hides scratches. The crystal is scratch resistant. Blah, blah, blah. It's a great watch. Okay. What makes it awesome and how does it help explain the term paradigm shift? You need to go back to a time before 1960. That's when the watchmakers in Switzerland were cranking out the most beautiful, most accurate timepieces in the entire world. And literally, the entire world would go to Switzerland to the tune of 50%. That's right, 50% of all watches were purchased from Switzerland. Imagine if you had a business and had 50% of all sales. It's mind-blowing. The whole economy was partially built off of the watchmaking industry in Switzerland. Well, in 1960, the Seiko company, a Japanese company, they were first to market with the quartz technology. So no longer were they dealing with springs and gears like the Swiss were up to that point. Well, everyone was up to that point. They instead used a quartz crystal, a literal mineral from the ground, the most common mineral on the planet. They put a little bit of electricity through it from a battery. Notice that it vibrated very predictably. They put a little circuit on there to count the vibrations. So many vibrations, that equals a second. Boom. Instant, accurate timekeeping. Super cheap. Now, some of them had the analog hands, but many of them had the digital display, but they all had the quartz technology under the hood. They were cheap, they were good looking, and they were far more accurate than springs and gears. Okay, the Swiss at the time, they were thinking, oh, that's just a fad. That's junk. No one's going to want that. They're going to want our handcrafted, high-quality stuff. Even the common man, they'll save up and they'll pay the premium for the traditional technology. And if all that goes bad, we'll at least have the high-end, hoity-toity watch buyers. They'll still want us. And plus, we make great chocolate, and people love great chocolate in Switzerland. Well, guess what happened? Regular folks bought timepieces from Japan and other countries that were using the quartz technology. Everyone did, even the high-end people. I mean, just think about the proposition. You could pay 10 times more for a handmade spring and gear watch from Switzerland, or pay 10 times less, get something that looks just as good, is far more rugged because, you know, that they were built better, and cheaper, accurate, cheaper, just as good. Everyone went elsewhere, but the Swiss, they stood their ground. They knew they were going to come out on top. And month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, it just tanked. The paradigm shifted. That's right. No longer was the default, you need a watch, go to Switzerland. Now it was, you need a watch, get a quartz watch. And Seiko was first to market. After the Swiss stopped crying, they got together and tried to figure out how to save their industry. And they started listening to people, and they were like, you know, the incandescent light bulb put the candlestick makers out of business, and the buggy whip manufacturers were put out of business because of the internal combustion engine. Maybe we should start to adapt and embrace this technology. And they did, and they came up with the Swatch. Do you remember the Swatch in the 80s? It was all encased in plastic. You couldn't service it. It was a throwaway item. And just to put a little dig to the whole world, they were analog. They had the analog hands. They weren't digital. And that made them stick their noses up in the air, and they were vindicated, and they got back at the world for this quartz revolution. That's what it was called to everyone else, quartz revolution. But in Switzerland, it was called the quartz crisis. So they failed to adapt. And now Seiko, once again, has come out on the market with a gear and spring watch, no batteries. They went old school, and that's kind of been a resurgent lately, is these mechanical watches. But here's what's cool. All of the parts they make themselves in Japan, in a fully automated, hands-off, no human touches it, to the highest standards. So this watch should be hundreds of dollars because it's very, very accurate and rugged, and it's just gorgeous all around. But the price, they just said, how cheap can we make a very well built high-end timepiece? This premiered in America for $55. Right now it's $63 on Amazon in the US market. And so once again, instead of zigging, they zagged, and they came right back at it. So now everyone is falling in love with these mechanical watches from the Japanese company that several decades ago almost tanked an entire country, definitely an entire country's main industry. I don't have anything against the Swiss by any chance, but you can't keep your nose up in the air and thumb off new technology. You must embrace what's coming down the pike. You must embrace new technology. That's the way of the world. They failed big time, and I just look at this watch and I think paradigm shift. The paradigm shifted, and the Swiss ignored it, and they got burned. And now it's coming around again, where this mechanism in this watch is used in other watches that are way more costly. But still, $55, you can have a precision engineered mechanical watch. Never takes battery. I think it loses like 15 seconds a month. It's crazy accurate. A lot of fun. So that's my Seiko 5 SNK 807.